while you were in your mother and during childhood is the single most important biological factor in determining whether or not a person will be predisposed to substance dependence and to addictive behaviors of any sort, whether drug related or not. You became an addict when you were in the uterus of your mom and in your first, let's say, 0 to 10 years of being on this earth. Please tell me, do you have responsibility over that?
No.
Do you have control over that?
No.
You don't. So can you say something quickly loud? It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
And this contradicts the 12-step program heavy, because now I'm pushing the self-denial and this whole thing of, no, it's not my fault, no? But I want you to understand that it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
But it is my responsibility.
Responsibility.
You hear what I'm saying? Just because it's not your fault doesn't mean it's your responsibility. And you'll see the difference between people that make it in life, the people who are successful or not, or the people who take things on themselves voluntarily, despite it not being their fault. Hey man, during your chores that you have here, when a guy messes up and it becomes your problem, yes, he's quiet, bro. It's not my fault, bro. Sort out your own shit, man. You know? But as soon as we start taking responsibility for things that are not our fault as well, things change to a certain extent as well. So we all know the quote, it's not about the cards that you are dealt, but it's how well you play the hand. And what separates men from boys or girls from women, although it's not my fault, I'll make it my responsibility. And all of life's meaning is found in responsibility. That sounds so boring, dude. Really responsibility? Like, come on. But think of all religious texts, Avengers movies, superhero movies. It's people that have taken things upon themselves that weren't their fault. And by that, they became something great. The story of Jesus. And I'm not here to force down religious stuff down your throat on this one. That's not what I'm here to do. I know, especially when you're sitting in your position at the moment, it's very hard to think of a higher power, a God that is all good, all knowing, all powerful, and all this stuff. It's hard to swallow that pill. So I'm not here to do that. So I am going to speak about scripture and other religious texts as well. But your idea of God or higher power is how you want it to be. But you cannot deny the fact that there is awesome psychological principles that you can derive from all of this. All of the religious texts that there is out there. I mean, the story of Jesus Christ. Everything that happened to him was none of his fault. You know? None of his fault. It was actually our fault. Because in the Bible it says he came to die for what? His own sins. No, he came to die for all of our sins, right? So he took the fault of something outside of himself and put it on himself. Viktor Frankl. I've mentioned him before. Who knows Viktor Frankl? Who's heard of his story? It's a guy that was caught in the Nazi concentration camp. Hear me? Check the bottom of your corner, actually. Sorry, I'm trying to be YouTube famous here. Not really. So, Viktor Frankl was in the Nazi concentration camps. You know the Nazis, with Germany and the Jews. Is everyone with me, or am I speaking to a... You're with me?
Yeah.
So he was caught in the Nazi concentration camps with his whole family. And obviously, you know, when you're in a place like that, the idea of hope is basically, I mean, next to nothing. And what he did, and he became one of psychology's greatest names out there, still to this day. I think his therapy is named logotherapy, if I'm not mistaken. And what he did while he was in that Nazi concentration camp is he said, well, you know, I'm here right now, and things aren't really going to be better anytime soon. But I'm going to see if I can act like all of this is my fault. And then I'm going to try to do something about this. Despite it obviously not being my fault, despite my pregnant wife that's about to be murdered, my father, my mother, and my brother, despite that, I'm going to see if I can act like all of this is my fault that's happening here, and I can see how can I make this better. He went on to write a book, Man's Search for Meaning, which is a fascinating book. And he started making small groups in the concentration camps, and he used to write notes on these small papers because they had to hide it away, and use support groups for people that came into the Nazi concentration camps to help them. He was responsible for most of the people who got out there alive and well mentally. And he went on, like I said, to become one of the greatest names in psychology. All the superhero movies, man, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, all of these guys, was it their problem that all those villains came? No, it wasn't. They took it upon themselves. Can you go to Job 1, verse 21. Does anyone else have a Bible here?
Hey, when you have this, I'm feeling so much interest in talking about the Bible.
Job 1, verse 21, and then chapter 2, verse 9 to 10.
Job 1.
Job 1, verse 21,
Yeah.
and then Job 2, verse 9 to 10.
Okay.
Okay, Job 1, verse 21, can you read it for us?
Okay. Good morning or afternoon, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I'll be reading from the book of Job,
1, verse 21.
chapter 1, verse 21. And said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised.
Naked I came from my mother's womb, naked I shall depart. The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Yes, man, that's a hectic statement to make, eh?
Too much.
I came naked into this world without nothing. And I'm going to leave naked as well.
Yep.
And the 2 verse 9 to 10. Chapter 2 verse 9 to 10.
Okay, still on Job, chapter 2, verse 9 to 10.
Yes.
His wife said to him, are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die. He replied, you are talking like a foolish woman. Shall you accept good from God and not trouble? In all this, Job did not sin in what he did.
Proverbs says that, did you guys hear that?
Should I repeat?
No, it's fine. Who knows the story of Job?
Yeah.
Put up your hands. Okay, so in short, the whole story of Job, like I said, you don't need to take this as a literal fact, like the story actually happened. But you cannot deny the fact that there's psychological truths to all of these stories. The story of Job goes, Job is this perfect guy. He doesn't sin at all. He's a family man. He's very wealthy as well. He does nothing wrong in the sight of God. Then Satan comes to God. He tunes God. Listen, you check your fellow Job there. I bet I can make him turn against you if bad things happen to him. So then God says, okay, well, you know what? I give you free reins. Go do to Job what you want, and I'll show you that Job doesn't turn against you. Then Job loses his wife, his children, his wealth, and all of that. And throughout the whole process, he still doesn't deny God. And then he says then, at the end, please read that verse 10 again. Sorry.
He replied, you are talking like a foolish woman.
Yes.
Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?
Yes.
In all this, Job did not sin in what
Yeah. How can we accept good times from God and not adversary times? Surely God has appointed the one as well as the other. There's another thing that says, what punishments of God's are not gifts? If you can understand that, because if you think back at your life, every difficult thing that you've gone through, you've come out stronger when you faced it voluntarily. And addiction, guys, let's be honest, this is one of the toughest things that we can face as human beings. There's very few things that's tougher than facing an addiction that's costing your life. And if you can overcome this and make this your responsibility, I promise you now, there's nothing out there that you can't face. There's nothing out there that you won't be able to overcome if you make it your responsibility. So, what would you guys say is the fundamental reality? I speak this about every time when I come here. The fundamental reality of life. Whether you white, black, rich, poor, Asian, Korean, Blue, Zulu, whatever, what is the fundamental reality? Who you're not allowed to answer? You've answered before. What's the fundamental reality that we all experience as human beings? That's very close. A bit subtler though. Pain. Who said pain? Pain, yeah. Oh, but you were also here last time. Yeah, okay. So, suffering. Suffering is the fundamental reality. Because we all experience it. And most people say no love or God or happiness. But that's not true. Because not everyone gets to experience that. Now, people are born in some very severe circumstances. And how do we overcome suffering? If that's our fundamental reality. If that's something that we all experience. If you have to give me an answer. Isaac, what would your answer be?
Yeah. Can you say again?
How do we overcome suffering in our lives?
Embracing it?
Embracing it. Okay, yes, voluntarily facing it. Yes, yeah, definitely. Anyone else? How do we overcome suffering? We try to protect ourselves from it through drugs, right? That's what we did. You try to numb yourself. You try to protect yourself from it. But we can't do that, eh? Because it just ends up being worse than them. So how do we overcome suffering? Yeah? Yes, yeah, Carl?
Hope.
Hope. Yes, yeah, hope. That's definitely the answer. The answer I want to give you this morning is meaning and adventure. Because when you ask people what they want in life, what they tell you? I just want to be happy, man. That's the most cliche, thing of the 20th century to say. But what people say what people mean when they say, I just want to be happy, they're actually saying, I want my life to be such an adventure and bear so much meaning that it justifies the fact that my life is suffering. Like everything that I went through in my addiction, all these things that I did, the people that hurt me, I want something in my life to have so much meaning, and my life to have so much meaning that it justifies the fact that I went through all of that. Can you relate to that? Can you guys, are you still with me?
Amen.
So we need meaning and adventure. But that's hard, man. That's hard to find in a position that we find ourselves this morning. It's not an easy thing to do. So the meaning of life is to find a mode of being that is such an adventure and worthwhile that the fact that life is suffering is no longer relevant. We can't protect ourselves from the suffering. So I want to give you 2 quick points on how to do that, then I'm going to move into the psychological aspect that Debbie's touched on this morning. The first one is by voluntarily confronting the suffering in our lives. Because the addiction is not the suffering. The drugs was the symptom. I'm sure you've all heard that before. That was the way that we tried to numb the suffering and the actual problem. We have to voluntarily face the things in our lives that we are struggling with. In Numbers, in the book of the Bible, Numbers 21, verse 4 to 9. You can just open there. Numbers 21, verse 4 to 9.
Okay.
So in the New Testament, Jesus speaks and he says, and just as Moses lifted up the bronze serpent, so the Son of Man must be lifted up as well. Jesus was professing his coming crucifixion. But that specific story, in the Old Testament, what Jesus is speaking about, Moses and the Israelites are walking through the desert. And they are turning themselves away from God again. And God is not very happy with them at this stage because they've done it so many flipping times and he doesn't know what to do with them anymore. And he decides, you know what, I'm going to send in snakes between them. And like I said, please don't try to rationalize these stories because they are a bit, it's hectic to think about it as factual. But listen to the psychological aspect of this. So God sends snakes in between the Israelites. And the Israelites starts dying from the snake bites, the poisonous snakes biting them. And the Israelites come to Moses and they ask Moses, please speak to God and make him stop these snakes biting us. So Moses says, all right, sharp, I'm going to have a word with God. Moses advises to God. He says, well, God, listen, okay, these people are not happy, they're dying, they want me to help, what must we do? God says something very interesting to them. He doesn't take away the snakes or cures them or stops it. He tells Moses, take a staff, he takes a staff and make a bronze serpent. So the thing that's biting them, make a symbol of that and lift it up. And whoever looks up at the bronze serpent, the snakes won't kill them anymore. It's something very interesting, right? So the thing that's killing them, Moses has to make a symbol of, lift it up, and whoever voluntarily looks at that thing that's killing them, that means they will be fine. Can you guys kind of get the psychological aspect of it? Whatever is killing you, that thing that you want to run away from, and not the addiction, not the drugs, the personal trauma that you don't want to face and work through, your own flaws, because not everything is hereditary and passing from your parents or whatever. Some of it is self-inflicted. All that stuff that you're running away from, you need to voluntarily face before you can be healed. That's what that means psychologically. Do you guys understand that?
Yeah.
The other story that goes so well with this, it's a mythological story. So, and you've heard it as well, you 4 or 5. The oldest story known to man, literally what we can date back to scriptures, is the story of the dragon and the knight. Right? It's always in movies, it's always the dragon in the knight. Yes, the dragon and the knight. And we are gripped by these stories. And when you watch this movie with the dragon and the knight, who do you picture yourself as?
The knight.
The knight. You're the knight, you're not the dragon, right? If you are the dragon, I think you might need some more special help. But usually you are the knight. So you envision yourself as the knight. And what is the dragon guarding? The guys don't walk. The guys Tula. New people. In the movies always, what is the dragon guarding? Yes, the princess. Thank you very much. And something else. Other stories is something else usually.
treasure.
Yes, treasure. So the dragon is guarding treasure or a woman. And for a man, I mean, those are the two most worthwhile things that you can get, Drew. Come on, that's reproduction, that's family, and that's money, right? So, and what does the dragon represent? Because we know what a woman and money represents, but what does the dragon represent? Huh? Definitely, that's a very good observation, yes. But to make it more practical, so the dragon represents a predator. But not just any predator. Mabru, this thing is flying, see? It's got claws, it's got a tail, it breathes fire. So you don't get more predator than that, right? So it's the ultimate of predators. And you are the knight. So you are the knight, you are facing the ultimate of predators to get to the thing that you most want and need in your life. So what that tells us in practical terms is that you have to voluntarily face the biggest predator in your life in order to get what you want. To justify the suffering in your life. Does that make sense? You guys get that?
Yes.
Alright. So, I've already explained that. And gents and ladies, sorry, I'm usually only speaking to the guys. I'm glad that you guys actually came this morning. If you think about it as well, nobody wants to hear it from the guy that just had it all and had it good. You know, well, their mom and dad were perfect and they went to private school. And you know they got it all good. They had no problems. They went to get a degree. Cheese boy, yeah, cheese boy sometimes also have psychological problems. But nobody wants to hear from that, man. We want to hear from the people who've fucked up, for lack of a better word. You want to hear from straight under the bridge, bro. Stolen from your girlfriend. Hit your spouse. Did some really bad shit. We want to hear from those people, but now they are contributing members of society. Now they're actually helping the people around them. We want to hear from those people that made a success of their life. Nobody wants to hear from other people. So I want you to understand that you can either view the situation of yours as the worst thing that has ever happened to you, or you can view it as the biggest jump start in your life actually, because whatever success that you attain right now, compared to someone else in a normal life, yours is way better. And people will automatically look at you with more admiration, and you will look at yourself with more admiration, just from coming where you're coming from. And that's your choice to look at it as like that. The second last topic that I want to speak about.
So is the fun.
Yes,
yeah. Before there's this other way that you said what you just said now. Like for me, it was more profound. You said, I don't know, it's about a person who can still put his gun on a holster, or a soldier who can.
Yes.
I just want the exact words.
Oh, okay. So there's the New Testament scripture that says, this is a very good point actually, thanks for bringing that up. So there's a New Testament scripture where Jesus says that the meek shall inherit the earth. Right? The meek shall inherit the earth. But remember, the Bible wasn't written in English. It was written, the New Testament was written in Greek and the Old Testament was written in Hebrew. And that word for meek in the New Testament, it translates, because the word meek actually means someone that's like, I don't want to say timid, but like almost weak, or I can say, or humble. Actually, more humble is actually kind of more a better word. But what that word meek in Greek actually means is if you have a sword but keep it sheathed. That's what it actually means. So if you have a gun, don't use it. And what that translates to is if you are aware of your dark side, if you are aware of the power that you are able to inflict, and you don't use it, but you are aware of it, then you will achieve success on a level that other people won't. Because you can only venture into your capacity for good once you understand your capacity for evil. And the things that you guys learn about yourselves in a place like this, 80% of people outside there are completely blind to it. That's why they go around blindly hurting other people as well. Because they don't know the darkness and terror that they are capable of as human beings. But once you know your faults and the darkness inside of you, you can use that for good. It's such a blessing to be able to be aware of that. Right? You guys get that?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Fair enough.
Okay, so the psychological aspect that I wanted to touch on is forgiveness. And I mean, that's something that, yes man, we all have to work on while we're inside here. And who's the hardest person to forgive?
Yourself.
Your life. Okay, yourself. Okay, that's one answer. Someone else? If you want to share it personally, you don't have to. But if there's something that you feel like you want to... Yes?
The next person turns to you like a family member.
Yes, definitely, right? Especially like a family member, someone that was really close to you. Most of the times, those are the people that hurt us the most.
Sometimes God.
Amen. Thank you for saying that. Yes, definitely, man. You're saying you're all loving, all powerful, all knowing God, but look at the situation I'm in. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to have these faults. Someone else? No, but that's actually those really good points. But I had it like that as well. Who's the person I want to forgive? Is definitely myself, if I look back at my addiction, and God as well. Those are my two ones. But I want to tell you that you will only be able to recover once you forgive yourself and others. That is one of the pinnacle turning points for me. Because the opposite of addiction is connection. I don't know if you guys heard that before. The opposite of addiction is connection. Why do you think your dealer's called a plug? He connects you, right? He connects you to the source. Yeah, because your plugs are worn out. That's your plug. That's where you find your meaning. Your dealer's your plug. Because we are so disconnected from having intimate relationships with ourselves, with God, and with other people. We are so disconnected that the only way we feel alive and worthwhile while being here is by being on a substance. And forgiveness is a thing that separates us from that. And the reason why I want to focus on forgiving ourselves this morning is because, well, we don't have enough time to go through all of the others. And also because this book that I'm reading, I've learned extremely awesome things that has helped me understand myself and my brain so much, and helped me forgive myself to understand that this isn't my fault, although it is my responsibility. So when you understand the nature of addiction, it might help to forgive yourself. Because the less effective our own internal chemical happiness system is, the more driven we are to seek joy or relief through drug taking or through other compulsions we perceive as rewarding. You guys get that? I don't have enough happy hormones, so I need to get things outside of myself in order to fill that pleasure. You with me on that? It's similar to, let me say, myself and Kyle. I'm sitting here right now and I'm just watching the rugby game for the past 2 hours. This guy's ran flipping 15 Ks. Much fitter than me, but he's done his work. When he comes back and he's tired, he's drained, it's hot, and there's a glass of water. 2 glasses of water actually. We both drink 2 glasses of water. For which person will the glass of water mean more? It will mean more for Kyle. Because he's depleted. He doesn't have what I have. I'm rested. I've been chilling here, everything's fine for me. He's gone through suffering. And our brains as addicts has gone through suffering early in our lives. That's why when myself and a non-addict drink a beer, the value that I assign to that beer is so much more than the normal person. It's so much more. It doesn't mean that it's my fault necessarily. It's because of my inner working system in my brain. You guys get that?
Yeah.
Does that open a light bulb for you?
Yeah,
Isn't it? It takes the responsibility a bit away from me. And I don't want to inflict self-denial and what's the other?
Instigation.
Yes, instigation or what I want to do. I want you to understand this. So a brain preset to be easily triggered into a stress response is likely to assign a high value to substances, activities, masturbation, sex, and situations that provide short-term relief. And it will also have less interest in long-term consequences. Just as people who are in extreme thirst will greedily consume water knowing it may contain toxins. Man, if you're in a desert and you're busy dehydrating, you see a pile of water where a bunch of camels have peed in and poo in, you will not think twice. That's why it's so funny for me when people go to addicts and it's like, do you know how bad drugs are for you? Like, God, dude, I don't care. Just give me more. You know? We don't care about how bad it is for us. It's because of the value that we assign to it. And, on the other hand though, situations and activities that for the average person, the guy that was chilling and watching rugby, are likely to bring satisfaction are undervalued by us as addicts. Because in the addict's life, they have not been rewarding. For example, intimate connections with family. That's something that I still struggle with, but I've only started to reconcile this year more. But I struggle with that because I never had a family life. And the family life that was there, it wasn't pleasurable. I didn't have intimate connections. So, okay, but now, like I said, I'm kind of putting you guys in the ego seat to say this is not your fault and you're okay or whatever. So the question is, like, I still have a choice, right? Like, I still have free will, like, despite all of this stuff. You know, not really. It's going to sound like I'm going off the wagon here. But the very concept of choice appears less clear-cut if we understand that the addict's ability to choose, if not absent, is certainly impaired. When we have choices placed in front of us as addicts, it's much easier to look at that and say, oh man, can the guy just stop? Like that child is like, why doesn't he just stop? We look at guys in the street, or actually before they go to the street, and say, you know what, that guy just needs to learn a lesson. He needs to lose his girlfriend. When he needs to lose his job, then he'll learn. But then you see a guy on the street, he's lost all his toenails, he's bleeding, he's got no teeth left. Like how many lessons does that guy need to learn in order to stop being an addict? So you guys get with me. You guys understand. You guys understand the fact that your ability to choose is definitely impaired. So don't take that much responsibility with regards to that. But you have to take the responsibility of knowing then you need to be in a place like this. Because you can't choose for yourselves anymore. And that's a humbling pill to swallow. To say that I need to put all of my choices in my life in the hands of Barberton Recovery Centre, Baba, for the next 6 to 9 months. That's a humble pill to swallow. But if you want your life not back, better than it was, you need to take that humble step. So I am not in the position, not because of a failure of will, because I'm a bad person, because I deserve hell or any of that. It's because my brain doesn't work properly right now. And I need to take care of that. Yes.
Stephen, can I go back to that point when you said, you made an example of Kyle Walker and stuff like that?
Yes.
So, because, okay, right, that's how we find our satisfaction via the drugs, nah?
Yes.
So now, since we were distant from family intimacy and stuff like that, I'm asking from your point of view now, like, does it feel now more, how can I say, satisfying than it was before? Because before you neglected it and now it becomes like it's a you thing.
Yeah.
Like because you ran all this race without them and stuff like that, now you get to be closer to them. Does it still give you that satisfaction as you got from drinking that water? I hope I make sense.
Got from the drugs.
From the drugs or the water, do you still feel like?
You know, I wouldn't compare it to that. And the thing is, when you're going to go back now to your families, it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to go well. Like, you'll appreciate small stuff more, and you'll see things more, but you're going to have fights. They're going to distrust you. You're going to feel like you're a victim. The last fight I had with my sister was about 2 months ago, which is an eternity compared to how it usually was. But I still struggle with certain things, you know. So to say that it's on the same level of pleasure that I get, definitely not. But the value that it is instilled in my life at a constant rate right now is so much more worth in the drugs, obviously. Because I have so much more meaning right now. Because I know when I walk in the home, my sister's going to smile when she sees me. She's going to be happy to see me. We're going to have like a conversation. She's going to ask me if I want coffee. I'm going to ask her if she wants coffee. You know, I don't have that stress anymore of feeling like this flippin' dirty guy or untrusted when I even didn't do anything, you know. So it's so much more worth than just the cool water, you know. It's worth Dringo Pop as well.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what
Yes, you get what I'm saying. So yes, it is, but it's not going to be immediate. And it's going to be hard work to get to that level again. Well, to get better than it was. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, to be honest, in my life with the family connections.
But on the process, you're still enjoying the process. That's what I'm
Yes, definitely, yeah.
It's more fulfilling than.
By far. But at the start, it's rough. It's rough at the start. And that was my biggest challenge, by far. So our ability to choose is absent. And it's impaired. That's why we need to be here. That's why we need to, you know, settle for being this. And yes, gents and ladies. Sorry, I keep on saying that. But when I had still hectic cravings, because I still do get cravings from time to time, but when it was early in my intense addiction or in my early recovery, with regards to the ability to choose and you know, the choice being impaired, obviously, it doesn't matter how well I did my step work, or how well my prayer life was, or how many times, how good friendships I had at that stage, or how much will I had inside of myself. But when I had a craving, it was like it was a right that is being withheld from me. It was like I was doing myself an injustice not to use. That's what it felt like. No matter how much love I had for God or for myself or whatever, in that moment, it doesn't matter how well I tried to do anything, it felt like you are taking away my right to do something. Can you guys relate to that? It was like I deserve it more than anything, right? And it's when I didn't use, it was like you're taking away the most meaningful thing in my life. That's what it felt like. And that's why you need to be in a situation like you find yourself this morning. Because when you're out there, you can't trust yourself. And it's, once again, it's not because of your lack of will or your moral failure, because of an ethical lapse. It's just because you need the help right now. And you're not strong on your own to do it. You guys with me? If you can't say amen, say amen. Anyway, and also mere exposure to the chemical, to the drug, doesn't make a person susceptible. Just because you started using doesn't that mean that you became an addict then. If a person becomes an addict, it's because they were already at risk. So, and also, the use of drugs diminishes a few things in the brain. The two specific things is your white matter and your grey matter in your brain. The white matter diminishes the ability to make new choices, acquire new information, and to adapt to new circumstances. That's the white matter that goes away in your brain. Yes?
Can it come back?
Yes, definitely, for sure. It does come back. Obviously, to the extent that you use, there will be permanent damage for some people. We all definitely inflicted some permanent damage to a certain degree. That's a fact, But there are some people that do heal to an insane extent. But like Debbie spoke earlier as well, some people recover better than others. But I've met very few people that have gone over the wall, and those are usually people that have gone into psychosis and stuff like that. But yes, no, it does come back. We short circuit our pathway to fulfillment and happiness. So in the brain we get neurons, and the neurons send messages to each other. And between those two neurons is synapses. Synapses is the links that those two messages correlate from the neuron to the other neuron. And when we start doing something that brings us happiness, so let's say smoke a joint, it creates a certain path, or do a line or whatever. And every time we do an action that creates that path gets stronger. Think of electricity, because your brain basically works in electric waves. So every time you make that path, it becomes like a highway all of a sudden, because that pathway is so strong. So now all of a sudden, when you've created this highway for so many years, and now suddenly you try to deviate from the path to get to the same destination, that's rough road, that's like dirt road. And the highway is so much stronger. That's why your internal system is screaming everything to go on the highway, which is the substances, and not on the other way, because the other way is just weak. Those connections are just not strong enough. Do you guys get that?
Yeah.
Alcohol increases your dopamine uptake by how many percent, if you had to guess? Yes, that scared me, man.
You said 100.
Huh?
You said 100.
100. 100 is right. Cocaine?
No, that's crystal.
No, crystal's 1.5.
What did you say in your class?
What about Jenny?
Cocaine is 300%. Crystal meth is 1,200%. That's biolacquer, bro. That's on another level of lacquer. 1,200%. So can you imagine how strong that highway has to be in your brain? Yeah, that's hectic. That's hectic. So what this all comes down to is, I want you to understand that yes, people choose, decide, and act in a context. But to a large degree, that context is determined by how your brain functions. You guys still get that? And the insistence of a gene, because people say, oh, there's this addict gene, I'm going to be 10 minutes, I'm done, guys. There's the insistence of this addict gene. It's false. You know why it's false and why we created it? Neglect of development science is one factor. But most importantly, people want to believe that there's a gene because it provides a powerful incentive is like motivation, for people who cling to genetic theories. Because we human beings don't like feeling responsible. as individuals for our own actions, as parents for our children's hurts, or as a society for our many failings. And when we can blame it on something like genetics, it makes it easier for us. Like, I'm just an addict because, man, it's passed on my genes. But meantime, it's because your parents had problems. They had children. Well, your parents' had problems. They had children. Through their way of living and through your mother acting the way that she did with the father or whatever, that stress compiled onto you. And then that, through their actions, compiled onto you. It's not your fault, but the only way to make it is to make it a responsibility. You guys still working on that? Then the last thing I want to touch on, gents, is, and ladies, I don't know why I keep on doing that, is, okay, so I've explained to you that there's suffering, that we have to get meaning to get over it. And I've explained to you of how our brain works and why we are the way that we are. And I just want to leave you with a short, simple plan. You're going to have to adapt it to your own circumstances and to your life at the moment, but just it's just like a mini blueprint of how you can think in order to get to where you want to be, if I can put it in the simplest sense. So, the world is not an objective place, like many atheists would like to claim. Right? We don't see, when I look at a chair, I don't see a chair just as a chair. When I look at that, I immediately see a place to sit. When I see a light, I don't just see a light, I see something that makes things visible for me. When I look at Isaac or Davy, I don't see them as mere human beings, I see them as our memories that we have with each other. And who they are and all of that. We don't see the world as just an objective place. There's so much meaning and value immediately when we look at things, sometimes just subconsciously. Alright? So the world reveals itself in relationship to our aim. So depending on what you're going through right now and what your aim is in the future, the world will reveal itself to you based on that. What that means practically is, if I think the next 3 months is going to be shit, and I think the end of 3 months is just going to be even more bad, then when I look at all of you standing right here, I'm not going to be very happy. Because I'm going to see all of you judging me, and this is just going bad, and there's no worth in all of this. But if I am aiming at something worthwhile in the future, I know there's something in the future that I can attain and hope for and have faith in, suddenly the world reveals itself as something hopeful. And I start to see the little happy things and the hopey little things. Do you get that? So if things aren't playing themselves out in front of you, that's necessary for you to live a meaningful and engaged life, then it just might be possible that you're not aiming at the right thing. And the point is, you can determine to a large degree the manner in which the world manifests itself to you by changing your aim. You guys know that song, no one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. No one else, you know it, yeah. No one else can feel the rain for you, bro. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can feel it. By changing your aim. It's difficult, given the circumstances, obviously.
Unwritten.
Unwritten, that's the one, yeah, unwritten. So you need to know what to aim at. And in our current situation that we find ourselves in this morning, it's hard to determine that immediately. Because there's so much stuff that we need to sort out and work through. But a plan is better than no plan. Don't drift and say, I'm finding myself. It's like, no, pick something and move towards it. It's like same thing as saying, I just want a better life, I just want to be happy. Pick something specifically. Even if it is just your fourth step right now. Or start creating an idea what you want after getting out of this. But just start picking something. And as you move toward it, you're going to succeed and fail, but you're going to succeed and fail specifically. Because you've got your benchmark, right? So now you know, that move that I just made, that's not aligned to what I want. So you're going to succeed and fail specifically, and then you learn what to use to fix your plan specifically. You're not just going to plan and fail, just out there. You're going to do it specifically. Even a stupid plan is better than no plan. Implement it, learn from it, and then readjust. And to give you guys a secret tip, we're all just winging it. No one knows what's going to happen in the future, right? We're all just winging it here, dude. So just pick something, man. And pick the greatest thing while you're at it. Because that'll give you the meaning to justify the suffering. The target is movable. Move and adjust it towards the ultimate ideal until you figure it out. But just pick a target so long. Yes?
What have we picked so far?
Well, it's putting me on the spot there. After my recovery, during my recovery as well, I started studying theology. And while I was studying theology, I became much more interested in psychology actually. So I'm doing theology with counseling and psychology at the moment, and then I want to continue with my psychology after my theology, because I think that religious concepts is pushed down onto people without them understanding it, and that makes me angry, to be honest, because we're all here, and what they tell us in churches and to believe out there, say it's 80% a lie. We don't realize the worth that is inside of us all. And I want to, based upon what I've learned in my life, learn everything that I can about it and then teach as many people as I can about it. So that's what justifies the suffering in my life. Like that. So the target is movable. Like I started studying theology, but now I like psychology more. Move and adjust it towards the ultimate ideal until you figure it out. You won't know what the best thing to aim at is at first, but you will learn by failing, learning, and succeeding specifically, repeatedly. The only difference between the greatest genius in the world and the ordinary man is that the genius is aware of the light within him, and the ordinary man is not aware of that light. So aim specifically and take responsibility. Thanks. Thank you. Almost a gents again. And ladies, thank you very much. I think so. This just a